think that there's a possibility that we could be looking at DeBoer wondering if he's the long-term answer at coach for the Tide?
I'm starting to feel like Alabama, I can't believe I'm saying this, Craig, is a sleeper. Fourth easiest schedule in the SEC this year. Ryan Williams is back. I think the friendly, these early season games against Florida State and Wisconsin, that is friendly for Alabama.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Paige Beckers, ready folks, is a top 10 WNBA player right now. You ever heard of the band Gladys Knight and the Pips? Yeah, it's Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings. That's what she's got. You know what that means? She's got nobody. Enrique Wumwale has been awful this year. I don't know if she wants to play there or not.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Her ability to defend, shoot the three, rebound, pass the ball, and on a team that is awful. Right now, training to get the number 1 overall pick if they win the WNBA lottery. Possibly to draft her buddy AZ Fudd, maybe. But when you look at Paige Beckers is a top 10 player in the WNBA.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Obviously, he didn't do great in the last 2 majors, and we're going home here. We're going to Northern Ireland, Royal Portage. This is Rory's the reason why we're going here. Got off to a rough start, throwing his tee shot out of bounds back in 2019. I think he'll be ready. Not yet ready to call him the winner. I still have a couple of days before I do that, but it is a home game for him. And as you saw, based on this weekend, he is playing well.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It is in-game live game day here on the grid on a fabulous Friday. Scott Wetzel, Dane Martinez in for Dave Sherapan. Tonight, as we take you right to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, next 2 hours, look at a little baseball. It is back officially. It's a beautiful thing. Do have WNBA All-Star festivities if you're into that. We got the Open Championship cut line +1 today. It's a who's who did not make the cut, and it's a who's who's sitting on top of the leaderboard. We'll get into that. And we got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we're going to turn a 50-1 shot into a actual 4-1 shot. We'll explain in a little bit. Plus, we got our Black Clouds, SGPs. We got our pitcher props from Dane. We got a whole kit and caboodle, so it should be a lot of fun and hopefully making a couple shekels along the way. What's going on, Dane? How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, Scott. Good to be back. Listen, I'm excited that there is baseball back, right? Like, it literally is the kind of worst couple of days on the sports calendar, right between the All-Star game before it gets going. That's why they put the ESPYs there. You would think that that's why the WNBA tries to claim it here with their All-Star Challenge, but I'm glad that we've got a full slate of baseball to discuss, to be sure. I can't wait to hear your trends, some of your SGPs, and of course, I got some K-props later on in the show as well.
Yeah, I know you do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a hunch tonight on some of these strikeout props. In fact, all of them. I'm going to play every single guy under. And here's my thinking. It's been about a week since most of these pitchers have pitched, right? Assuming they didn't pitch in the All-Star game, which a majority of them didn't, right? And maybe they didn't pitch on Sunday, so really probably Saturday. So it's been a week since most of these guys have pitched. I'm thinking the managers are going to go to their bullpen just a little bit sooner than normal because they don't want these guys hanging around, sitting around for another day, maybe another 2 days, right? First opportunity to go to the bullpen. So because of that, I'm going to keep track. I wrote down every single pitcher's strikeout total. We have 26 pitchers that have lines. Some games you don't have lines. So just without even whatever, I got 26.
Just going to cover the board.
How many? Yeah, we're going to cover the board. How many do you think go under their total out of 26? If you're buying into my thinking, maybe you're not.
Over
maybe
50%. Over 50%. I like it in general. Yeah. I think it will be profitable depending on the juice on them individually, right? But I agree with you on sub-level. In fact, Scott, my number one strikeout prop that I am doing is sort of on that same theory, but this guy is a big-time strikeout pitcher, and specifically, though, has only had one start since April, so there is no reason to stretch him out. I'll talk about it later on in the show.
All right, so my realistic goal is, and you're right, a lot of this pertains to odds and stuff, but it is what it is. All the odds are different, right? I'm thinking 16 and 10 under. If I go 15 and 11, then it's a coincidence. If it goes 16 and 10, then my thinking was right, and I walk away a winner. Just in my mind, I walk away a winner. Right?
I like that. And Scott, I also, in the first round of March Madness, the first Thursday and Friday, I go all 32 games, first half unders. I do first half
that's right.
unders.
That's right.
On the theory that
you did
big
well.
cavernous buildings, these guys are a little bit nervous, matchups they don't know, the feeling out period, and it was bank. This time around in March. I think it actually went something like 21 and 11. And to your point, if you just go 1 or 2 over 500, then with the juice, it may not work out. But it definitely definitively worked this time. I'm excited to see you track it and see how it goes down tonight.
Yeah. The other thing is with the British Open or the Open Championship, you know what? Why don't we got to do our 5 on the line. But I'm going to explain how a 50-1 shot is really only a 4.5, maybe 5-1 shot. It sounds goofy, but it is true. I always like having fun at the expense of these golf bettors who come on and give like 5,000 picks and hope that they strike a bullseye. So I'll explain in a little bit. So we'll have some fun tonight. Should be a lot of fun tracking all this stuff. 5 on the line after basically having the week off because there weren't any games does return. So here we go. How about our 5 best trends for games that for the most part have yet to begin? All right, we'll start. We'll go from 5 down to the very best trend as we always do. Keep in mind, 71 games over 500, 221 up since we started this a few months back, only 150 down. So here we go, Dane. We're going to go with Milwaukee. You know what? We always get yelled and screamed at, you're giving us too many 2-1 favorites, 3-1 favorites. All right, how about the Brewers tonight? They've won 8 straight Quinn Priester starts, 8 in a row. Taking on the Dodgers, getting plus 160, 8 in a row. Let's make it 9, right? Give me the Milwaukee Brewers plus the 160 at Los Angeles. Seattle Mariners hosted the Houston Astros. Seattle, 6 straight overs. They've actually turned on their bats quite a bit here to close out the first half of the season. Obviously, 6 straight overs. They're at home. Got to get some runs, hopefully. So let's go over 7.5. Houston at Seattle. Number 3, Cardinals, 7-2 over their last 9. Arizona, 21-7 over their last 28 games. They've been hitting, and the pitching has been awful. They have the 4th worst bullpen in baseball. So trend-wise, let's go over 8.5. St. Louis at Arizona. Number 2, Colorado. Listen, there's 1,000 stats I can give you on Colorado, right? But bottom line is they stink. 4-16 their last 20 games. They're hosting Minnesota, who needs to win every game they can, get into the playoff picture. So give it a Twinkies, laying only $1.66 on the road at Colorado tonight, trend-wise. And then that leaves us with only one. The numero uno, coup de grace, creme de la creme, number 1 trend for tonight. We're going to buck some trends. Yeah, we're going to flip on this. The Texas Rangers, a monster under team. We've given them under several times, won several times. But with Corey Seager hitting the way he has, we're going to go over Texas, 10-4 over their last 14 games. They're actually hitting the ball. Hosting the Tigers, who are 17-8 over their last 25. Add it all up. Over 8.5, Detroit at Texas, our number 1 trend play of the night, Dave. What do you think?
Listen, I know you've been on Corey Seager. I know you had the whole Corey Seager SGP recently, so I like that. I really like going to Milwaukee. They have been great in the Priester starts. And also, the Dodgers were, limping to the break. I got to tell, and I like the over for the St. Louis and Arizona game. I got to tell you, though, that Houston-Seattle one, I'm worried about an over. I'm always worried about overs in Seattle. Out there in the Pacific Northwest with that marine layer, there are not a lot of runs scored, so I'm a little leery about that one. And I got to tell you something, the Minnesota Twins, I think they will win the game. It's obviously Colorado, but Scott, Paddock has been horrendous. And so I don't know if I can back Paddock necessarily at that price, right? But I definitely like the over for St. Louis, Arizona, and I really like what you're doing with the Brewers, to be sure.
All right, let me check Paddock's numbers because it was just an automatic. You know, you're right. He's 3-8, ERA close to 5. Anytime you can lay, minus 170, 180 or less against Colorado, even at home, that seemingly is the right play. 2-4, ERA of 5.5 on the road. Gave up 6 runs his last 5 out. Yeah, he's not been good. Let's put it that way. He's not been good. He definitely is not. But is he Colorado bad? How bad is bad for Chris Paddock versus Colorado?
I guess there's a reason it's only minus 166. Like you said, that's an auto play if you can get it at that number. I'm just giving you the reasons maybe why it's only 166. We'll see what Paddock can do tonight.
Yeah. All right. So those are the trends. 5 trends for tonight. Keep your fingers crossed. Bunch of games already underway. A few more starting in a bit. We'll get to them all. Dane Martinez, Scott Wetzel, in-game live game day here on the Grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. I got my first official winner in, sort of, and then my first official loser in, sort of. Scott Wetzel, Dane Martinez. The sort of, Dane, because we didn't announce this over the air, but I had Skylar Diggins in a skills competition. she's all set to advance, and she drops the ball. I mean, literally, she drops the ball, and that cost her a couple of seconds. And because of that, she doesn't advance. So I'm officially out. We'll get your 3-point shootout picks here in a second. My one official winner, though, and I did say this on Game Time Decisions when I was on with Joe, I love the over 3.5 runs Kansas City Royals. Kind of like with your Chris Paddock thinking. You know who was pitching for the Miami Marlins tonight?
Yes.
And
Alcantara.
he's been awful.
And absolutely, Scott. And I was going to ask you about the live line because I've got the Marlins actually up 5-4 in that game. I know you have been looking for ways to attack Sandy Alcantara, who has not been the same since his Cy Young season, right? Kansas City went into Miami as a -112 favorite. However, now in the fourth inning, with a lot of game left, Scott, they are 2-1 on the money line. Kansas City to win this game. Kansas City, I think, is a better team than Miami. You want to attack this pitcher anyway. They were the favorite coming in 2-1, down by only a run. Now it is right now in the bottom of the fourth, so the live odds are giving you that extra at bat for the Marlins, and I understand that. But I think that's an interesting one right now. What do you say, Royals 2-1? It's not like the Marlins right now who are hitting in the bottom of the fourth, I believe. It's the very beginning. They don't have any runners on. You know, it's not like they're threatening already. I could see KC at +200, now up to +240, being an interesting live play.
Yeah, I would do that. You know what I did originally, Dan? I did the over 3.5 Kansas City, and they have 4, and they're giving you 5.5 as their team total, albeit -148. Little juice. I don't know if Alcantara is still in there. He pitched 4 innings.
Currently.
He's pitching right now? No,
the Marlins are up. But he's gone through only 4. Yeah.
So he's through 4, but he's thrown 76 pitches. So, but I'm thinking they have a 5-4 lead. He needs to get through one more inning before he's eligible for the win. So I'm thinking they're going to put him back out there. And if that's the case, the guy's given up 7 hits. He's walked the batter. He's given up the 4 runs already. He had given up 4 runs in 11 of his 18 starts. The teams that he played had scored 4 runs or more even after he left in all but all those 18 starts as well. So I know Kansas City can't hit the red of a paper bag, but I really love the over 3.5. And as much as I would take the plus 190, I would go better. Give me the over 5.5 and not worry about who's going to win. Because if he's out there for the 5th inning, chances are halfway decent. They're going to at least put a couple of runners on the board. And even if they don't, they could probably get a couple of runs against the Miami bullpen the rest of the way. So I'd go over 5.5 runs for Kansas City.
I like that. That's just kind of your standard -114 or -115 on both sides. I'm saying they'll come back to win. Right now, you can get a +240. So I like what you're talking about here, right? It's just the difference in the juice. I'm thinking about it right now, though. The Marlins do, however, have the leadoff man on. So I don't know. That gives you a little bit of an extra boost right now. It's +250 to come back on the Royals. But I do like what you're saying. There is at least, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5 at-bats left for the Royals to go ahead and get 2 more runs in this game. And like you said, 1 probably against Alcantara, who has been bad so far. And they would want him to qualify for the win.
Yeah. Yet the Philadelphia and the Angels tied at 4. I did like Philadelphia. I got to say, with Luzardo on the hill, the Phillies played much, much better at home, 30-16 at home this year, but they're only tied at 4, not getting any kind of discount. You know, they're still -220, which is pretty much what they were to start the game, 2 and change, right? Bottom of the 5th inning. If they don't score, maybe that would drop a little bit. This way they don't have the extra at-bat advantage over the Angels. But I won't lay the -225, but maybe 1.5 still a +136 on Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I just think, let me see. I'm looking at Philly here, and I think they're the better team. I was on Coast to Coast earlier today, and Carver had an interesting angle on the home run play. He was going to go with Mike Trout to hit a bomb. You know, he's a Philadelphia guy, right? Like back kind of in that home environment. He's always at the Eagles games and things of that nature. The idea that Trout could go yard. But I would still get on Philadelphia. To be quite honest, the way I would play it, I think if they win, I think they'd win by the run line. So instead of laying the number on them, I'd play the run line at +154 right now for them to go ahead and win going away. Because if they win, it'll probably be some kind of explosive inning for the Philadelphia Phillies, right? So if that were to happen, I wouldn't mind laying the run line, paying plus 154 and get a little bit of additive there. But what do you think about that narrative that Trout goes yard back in his home area?
Yeah, I'd like to see his numbers. They've been back there a few years now. They don't play there often, obviously, but being a he's actually a Jersey guy, but he grew up near Philadelphia, Phillies
Southern
fan,
Jersey, right?
Eagles fan, yeah, Southern Jersey, right across the road. So that makes sense. That's a good little hunch. I like looking for things like that. No doubt he's all pumped up. Maybe even get, if you want to take it a step further, maybe play some Bryce Harper props. Because he's thinking, no doubt Trout's got all the publicity or the articles this week on this series is no doubt centering around Mike Trout, coming back into this area, right? So maybe Harper gets a little bit of a challenge, right? And says, okay, I'll show him. So yeah, I don't even know how well they've done. Let me see. I'll check the box scores. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, I know you like that narrative, right? That don't forget about me out of Bryce Harper, right? And then also remember Schwarber's there, and he went yard in this All-Star game, coming off the All-Star MVP. I wanted to ask you what you thought about that. There's some people who thought it could have been Pete Alonso because he actually produced in the game. But I think that, if they had to declare who the swing-off players would be before the game, I would cover the board in the MVP market for those three guys, just on the hunch that the game goes to the swing off, right? Because pregame, you got to be getting good numbers on those guys, and then they'll give it to the guy who had the best performance in the swing off. So I was looking for those live. I did get plus 185 for Schwarber to hit 2 or more home runs in the swing off because I was looking for it. But I do think it was an interesting way for them to go about it.
Yeah. By the way, and I swear Dane didn't know this, and I didn't know this, right? Bryce Harper, 3-run homer. Mike Trout, 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. So, unfortunately, we come on at 8, not 7 when the game started. But had we come on at 7, we would have given you those two guys, I swear. STP coming up.
His run in Salt Lake is over. But, obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in game live game day here on the grid on a fabulous Friday. Back after a day off yesterday with nothing going on. Scott and Dane right up until 10 p.m. Eastern time. We got some baseball. We got some WNBA 3-point shootouts coming up here in a little bit. We'll recap the golf as well, and I'll explain how a 50-1 ticket is really only a 4-1 ticket, maybe 4.5. Sounds goofy, but it really is true. But before we get to all that, how about a little SGP same game parlay? All right, what better opportunity since we start the second half of the season, pretty much how we ended it, and that's going against Colorado any chance we get. Why not? Hosted Minnesota, so the number is relatively low, all things considered, for a Colorado game. So we're going to grab Minnesota minus 166. Won't even fool around with the run line. We've had a couple of winners. We're playing with house money. We hit a 23-1 SGP on the All-Star game. We hit one before that, so we're actually got some money to spend here. So let's hop on Minnesota. We're going to hop on Dane's favorite pitcher, Chris Paddock, for 4 strikeouts. His number's 4.5. We're going to lower it to 4. We're going to go Byron Buxton, 2+ base. We're going to use Buxton. This is going to be a Buxton parlay, Dane. Buxton, 2 bases, minus 220. 2 RBIs. That's the one that's going to kick this up a little bit, plus 270. And then Buxton, 1 run scored at minus 270. He's been on fire. He's been on fire, hitting close to 290, hit 333 this month heading into the All-Star break. He's got base hits in all but 3 games in this month. And you see a lot of 2-for-4s, 5-for-5s, 2-for-4s littered all over the place. Look, again, he's been on fire. He's got runs in every single game except 4 as well. So let's hope it continues here. Why not in Colorado? So Minnesota, basically 5.5 to 1. You're turning a minus 166 favorite into a plus 5.5 to 1 parlay.
I really like the Buxton kind of feature on this one, right? Didn't he also, I think, hit for the cycle like the last day before the All-Star break, right? So he's hot. He was in the home run derby, so he has gotten some more swings in than most Minnesota Twins. The only part for me, Scott, and I said it at the top of the show, is the idea of Paddock, right? And so, listen, I think the Twins will win the game. Okay, I think the Twins will win the game. I was saying that I'm not going to lay the minus 166, but if you put it in this kind of parlay and ultimately get better than 5-1 on your money, I'm all about it. The one thing I would push you on, though, Scott, is you said at the top of the show you were going to go blindly under on all of these strikeout props. Now, I know you do a little bit conservative here, and we've been looking at these numbers, right? Generally between minus 240 to minus 260 when you see whatever their prop is and you drop it down 1. So it's just a thin needle to thread, Scott, right? So in essence, you need Paddock to get exactly 4 strikeouts so he hits this part of the parlay and you covering the board on the under because his real number was 4.5, right? So there is a way for this to happen. I like the Buxton feature. I'm just very, very interested in how Paddock performs tonight.
Yeah, I must say, I did my SGP before I thought of, hey, you know what? Why don't I just play all unders for the pitchers?
Right,
so
okay.
Once I did that, then I looked and said, oh, that's right, I got Paddock. But, I got the 4. I left myself, like you said, a little open door where maybe we could hit both. But the others, unders, are just kind of like a hunch little, okay, let's see how this thing turns out. I mean, I did bet it, but still. I must admit, I thought about that later on.
He's going to get 4 strikeouts. We'll be just fine, Scotty.
Yeah, hopefully. I know you got a couple of other strikeout totals that you like.
Sure.
You want to throw them out there now? Sure.
Yeah, sure. My number one that I was telling you about, a guy, and it is Tyler Glasnow, okay? I'm going him under 5.5 as well, Scotty. I like your narrative, but also specifically these Dodgers, specifically pushing a guy like Glasnow, right? You know about the health issues with Glasnow, and he has only had 1 start since April, okay? And that 1 start was against the Milwaukee Brewers, the same team he is facing tonight, and he struck out 5. That would be under this 5.5. He hasn't gone more than 5 innings pitched in most of his starts, and so to your point, I don't think that he is going to be stretched out a ton, given both the injury and the time in the calendar, and he did only strike out 5 and go under this number. When people think about Tyler Glasnow, they think about incredible strikeout stuff, and he does have that. I just don't think the Dodgers are going to have him out there in their first kind of series, in their first matchups after the All-Star break, long enough to go ahead and hit this one. So I'm with under on Tyler Glasnow. I don't think he gets the 6, Scott.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I was surprised we got 5.5. I thought that number would be closer to 3.5. Figured they're going to do to him what they've done with Otani, just really be conservative. So, real quickly before we bring Tommy in, 3-point shootout. I'll explain later. I'm going with Alicia Gray plus 4.5 to 1. You have a girl for the 3-point shootout?
I like it. I'm tailing you. I am a Liberty fan, so I would go on the yes scoop, but I can't lay minus 115 with 5 babies.
All right, there you go. More coming up.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott Dane, hour number 1. Keeping an eye on the baseball stuff. Got a bunch of games that are already underway. We touched on a few. Got a few more that'll be starting in a little bit. So why don't we bring in Tommy Lorenzo, host of the Cover the Weekend podcast. Cover the Weekend podcast. You can find it at all your podcast favorite little stores. Tommy, Scott, and Dane, how are you today, bud?
Doing well. Good games. Good 3-4 games still on the docket. So good baseball card today.
Yeah, one of them is a game we just talked about by part of my SGP, Minnesota and Colorado. It's hard not to like the Twinkies, right? The line's up to minus 174, Colorado plus 146. Over-under is 11. Where are you going with this one?
I heard you guys talking about Paddock, and I can't jump on board backing him. Last 30 days, batters are hitting 326 against him. And as bad as the Rockies are, that's playing with fire a little bit, backing a guy like Paddock and taking a minus number on it. I'm actually small play on the Rockies for me tonight. Their pitcher hasn't been much to speak of, but Freeland actually has pitched okay at home. 3 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs. He hasn't been lit up at all. But I like the Buxton props. I'm down with those, but getting behind Paddock is a little too dangerous for me, and I'm leaning towards the underdog in this one.
Yeah, I've been trying to caution Scott for the entire hour. I understand the auto fade of the Colorado Rockies, but Paddock is not the guy I want to put my money on. Let me ask you about Milwaukee and the Dodgers later on tonight from Chavez Ravine, Tommy. Milwaukee was on fire coming into the All-Star break. LA, not so much. Do you think the All-Star break kind of helps them clear the deck reset everything. How do you see this one? I'm actually on the under when it comes to Glasnow strikeout props. I just don't think that Roberts is going to let him stay out there long enough to get to sticks. I understand the strikeout stuff. I just don't think they're going to push Glasnow, given the injury history, given the fact he's only had one start since April. And, you may want to get the bullpen involved and get them loosened up after a week off as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dean. The bullpen is rested, so there's no need to push Glasnow at all for multiple reasons. One thing about Glasnow, his velocity in his return start was about a mile per hour, 1.5 mile per hour, higher than before he went on the IL. So I think he's sound and ready to go. But I agree, I don't see Dave Roberts pushing him. And the Dodgers bullpen's good enough where they're rested, they can get some work. Dodgers best OPS in baseball at home. I do lean the Dodgers, not so much because of Glasnow, because I do agree he's not going to go 6-7 innings by any stretch. But I think even a run line on the Dodgers works today. But certainly Glasnow is not going to be pushed. There's no need to do it at this point. Getting ready for the home stretch.
When do you think, Tommy, I heard so many people, and I kind of buy into this, just say about the Dodgers, well, they got a big enough lead. They don't care. When does it get, do you think, for them, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to bet on a Dodger team for the first time all year that I know really, really now wants to start playing good baseball because we're getting close to the finish line?
Yeah. Well, it all depends on their pitchers. Like Dane, I think he made a good point. They're not going to push Glasnow till they need to get him ready for the playoff run. Blake Snell's got to come back at some point. Sasaki may come back at some point. But when they do come back, there's going to be an expectation of performance for those guys as well. So it's kind of tricky to monitor that. With the Dodgers, the depth is there if they're healthy, of course. So I think it's business as usual. Those bats are still live. Max Muncy leaving really hurt the Dodgers, and it's not talked about enough. The bottom half of that lineup, when they struggle, the Dodgers, do trip up a little bit. And Muncy was hitting really well. He gets hurt, goes on the IL. That bottom part of the lineup starts struggling, and then they start losing games. So I think when you see signs where that bottom part of the lineup starts waking up a little bit, it's time to hop on and ride it because they're going to win a lot of games.
Hey, Tommy, sneaky big series to start the second half in the Pacific Northwest, right? With the Astros and the Mariners. I think objects in the rearview mirror are closer than they appear. What do you like between Seattle and Houston?
Yeah, really good matchup tonight. Brandon Walter, the Houston pitcher, he's cleared his 4.5 strikeout number in all but 7 of his starts this year. He's cleared it. And, Seattle strikes out a lot. Those hitters are not like the Cardinals who are contact. Seattle hitters go for it, and there's some strikeout potential there. So it's a little used to the over, but I think 4.5 with Walter and the Astros over on the strikeout prop makes sense in that game.
All right. As Yogi once said, Tommy, it's getting late early, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. Disappointing for me, the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Cardinals. I'm surprised with Arizona. I really am. I thought they would be much better. I keep on waiting, for them to rattle off 5, 6, 7 in a row. That's what I mean. But they're not, and here we are late July. They're 5.5 back in the wild card race. Forget about winning the division. Hosted a Cardinals team in a similar spot, but at least, they're 5 games over, only a game and a half back in the wild card race. Are we ever going to get maybe this is the real Arizona team. I don't know. But Arizona basically pick them at home against St. Louis. They got to win, in my eyes, 2 out of 3. What happens tonight, though?
Yeah, I think in this spot, and I agree with Arizona, they lost their ace to injury, Corbin Burns, and then their pitching has just been inconsistent. They do have good arms on that team, but just a lot of inconsistent pitching. Brandon Pfaadt looked good leading up to the All-Star break, but the Cardinals aren't a team that are going to, mash home runs, but they do make contact, so I'd stay away from his strikeout prop. But tonight, Palante, he's a innings eater type of guy. The 9's the total, probably under here. A play on the under is probably where I'd look at here. Coming back from the All-Star break, I don't know if these hitters are fully cranked, but you'd expect Brandon Pfaadt to have a decent enough performance. And, Palante is just an innings eater, a lot of ground balls. And, we'll see if Arizona can start hitting. But, their hitting and their pitching has been so inconsistent, and they find themselves right around, I think, a little under 500. So pretty interesting to see what they do in the second half. That's Arizona.
Hey, Tommy, we talked about some of the games tonight, but it's also everybody's coming back from the All-Star break, right? Are there any kind of, I don't know, rules of thumb or trends that you like in what is an odd time in the Major League Baseball calendar, right? These guys are creatures of habit. They've just been out of their routine for about a week. You've got the trade deadline on the horizon. What are some of the kinds of things you are looking for when backing teams in this odd kind of 2-week stretch? We just talked about rested bullpens, things of that nature. Is there anything else like that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Dana, and especially when you're talking about starting pitchers. They're such creatures of habits. They don't like getting out of their routine. And there's some guys that are going to be pitching on 7, 8, 9 days rest because of the All-Star break. And, you got to do a little digging, but you can see when pitchers have, more than their 5 days usual rest. Some pitchers don't perform very well. You'd think they're rested up. The extra rest helps them, but that's not always the case with a lot of pitchers. Majority of the time, it throws them off of their schedule, and they're not as effective. So that's one thing I try to dig into a little bit, at least the first week after the All-Star break. Sometimes you expect the hitters' timing maybe to be off. They haven't seen live pitching for a week, and maybe that can get going. But that could be here or there. That just depends. But I think starting pitching and looking at the idiosyncrasies of an individual starting pitcher and how they've done on long rest in the past really opens up some clues whether you back them or not.
Who's got a better chance, Tommy, of keeping their good run going? The Red Sox, who did lose this afternoon against the Cubs, or Toronto?
I really like Toronto. Very pesky, but they've teased a lot. They've been this team that have teased, year after year, that you think they're going to turn the corner, and they don't quite do it. But Gossman, Berrios, their starters have been doing pretty well. I was very high on Boston when the season started, but maybe getting rid of a player or two like they did helps the chemistry there. They sure look like they're playing a little more inspired now. A lot of people said they were going to be sellers, but I'm interested to see what Toronto does. I think the Yankees still win that division, but it's going to be interesting because Boston and Toronto actually look pretty good right now.
Yeah. Let's hope the Red Sox kind of continue with being a Red Sox fan. That is for sure. Tommy, great job as always. Good to have you back for your vacation. Check out his podcast, Cover the Weekend Podcast, Tommy the Red Zone. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott Dane, excuse me, our number one all choked up here watching the three-point shootout here. Just underway, which is taking forever. Boy, they got two events, and Dane, somehow or another, this is going to take about 4 hours. It's going to rival the home run hitting derby with the Major League Baseball. So, but that is underway. Our girl, Alicia Gray, has yet to shoot. Plum just hit like 18 points, so I'll keep you posted on that. But I know you're all happy about Tommy's pick on your guy Brandon Walter, right? Over 4.5.
Yeah, absolutely. We just asked him open-ended what he likes in Houston and Seattle, and he went right to my other strikeout prop of the night, which is, in fact, Brandon Walter going over 4.5 strikeouts. Listen, I like a lot of what Tommy said. He's had 5 or more strikeouts in 6 of his 7 starts this year. The one time he didn't, he went only, I think, 4 2/3 or 5 innings. So if he goes the 5 or 5 plus, I agree. I think he will get to 5 strikeouts. He's been pretty much a strikeout an inning, 40 strikeouts in 40 innings. So if he goes to 5 innings, I do think he will get there. What I also will say, Scott, is I like Seattle. I like Seattle in this division because they've had a lot of banged up starting pitching, right? But when they are healthy, Kirby, Woo, we have seen their starting pitchers, Logan Gilbert, for goodness sakes, Castillo, who I believe is on the hill tonight. I think their starting pitching is very good. And I'm seeing right now with Seattle Mariners at plus 380 to win that division. The books love the Houston Astros. There is a lot of season left to go. If Seattle can make hay at home over this weekend and put a dent into that lead, I really like the starting pitching of Seattle. I think there's some value there for that division futures bet.
That, you know what? That's a good point. Playing each other, boy, they could take even 2 out of 3. God forbid a sweep. You got to believe that minus 420 on the Astros, which is a monster number for a team that's only got a couple game lead, right? I mean, you said it. They're in love with that. I still think Texas can put. I had Texas before the season began. They're 19-1. I'm not giving up hope, although I got them to win the World Series, not necessarily the division. So I'm hoping they at least get in a wild card spot. But I don't think the Astros, Dane, are a 4-1 favorite at this point. I like them. Don't get me wrong. I really do. And I'd love them in the postseason with the top end of the rotation. But, if you're minus 420 right now with 70 games left or so, you got to have a 8, 9, 10 game lead in my world, not the 4 or 5 that they have right now.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And listen, we can blink, and on Monday morning, that could be 2.5. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. So I just think it's a nice play if you like Seattle. And by the way, they are minus 134, I believe, tonight. So the books like them to lop 1 off of that lead tonight, in fact. And, I hear what you're saying with the top of the rotation there in Houston, right? With Hunter Brown, with Framber Valdez. But think about the top of the Texas rotation. DeGrom has been very good. And I really believe that this Seattle rotation, people don't see the Mariners a lot, okay? And they have a lot of really good pitchers in between Gilbert and Kirby and Woo and Castillo. I give you the top end of maybe the Houston Astros rotation. But if I'm Seattle and I'm in a long playoff series, I think I'm going to have the edge with my Game 3 and my Game 4 starter. And that's a big edge once we get to October. I actually think Seattle, not only as a dark horse here at plus 380 or whatever it is, I think Seattle is kind of built for a playoff series in October as well. Keep an eye on the Mariners, Scotty.
Yeah. Let's see if they can make some trades, maybe add a piece at the trade deadline. These last couple of trade deadlines, they've been trading away their closers, if you remember that. Let's hope they don't do that again this year, right? Let's hope for the add-on versus delete, because they have it, again, with their rotation still, it can be terrific. It really can. Angels have taken a 6-4 lead, not a Mike Trout home run, but Angels 6-4 over the Phillies as they play top of the 7th inning. Phillies now plus 240, or you can grab them at plus 1.5 runs at even odds, which is interesting. I might take a flyer on the Philly. I won't get too greedy on that. Bottom 7. The Angels bullpen, I will say, one of the top 3 worst in all of baseball. You know what? So I will take it. I was going to say I'd grab the 1.5. I'll take the plus 255 right now on Philadelphia. I'll take a flyer on that.
Yeah, I like that as well. I still think the Phillies are the better team. The Phillies have a ton of late inning comebacks, especially in that ballpark. And I was backing Phillies even going away with a margin earlier in this show when it was still 4-4. I know the Angels are up 6-4 now, but I do still like Philly. I'll also let you know Alcantara is out for the Marlins, and Miami still has that 5-4 lead, but we now are in the top of the 7th, and we have Bender pitching for the Marlins. Let's see if the Royals can, you need them to get to 6. I need them to come on back and win or be on the run line. So let's see what happens there now that Alcantara is out.
Speaking of bad pitchers or pitchers doing poorly, let's put it that way. They're not bad. Justin Verlander, 2 2/3 innings tonight, Dane. Gave up 4 runs on 9 hits and 2 walks. So they gave him every opportunity in the world to get out of that thing, and he couldn't even get out of the 3rd inning. He's 0-7. He'll be 0-8 now, assuming they lose this game. In ERA, it's not horrible, 5, but the guy's yet to win a ball game. I mean, how long? The Giants aren't screwing around. They're trying to, if not win the division, certainly get in as a wild card team. And they've only won. Forget about him being 0-8 if they lose tonight. They've only won 3 of his starts. Check that, 4 of his starts. They've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They'll be 4-12 in his starts if they lose.
Yeah, I mean, Father Time is undefeated. And isn't it always like the hardest thing to manage is like an aging former star when you don't know if you can kind of look them in the eye and be like, listen, time has come, right? And they just signed them. They want him to be good. But to your point, he just hasn't delivered so far this season with the Giants, along with the Padres still right there nipping at the Dodgers' heels. You got to think they have a decision coming up. Maybe they're going to try and add at the trade deadline. And maybe Verlander needs to be a part of that rotation.
Yeah, crazy, but it's possible. A lot of blowouts tonight. White Sox leading the Pirates 7-1, top of the 7th. You got the Blue Jays 4-0 over the Giants. Reds have rallied from 2-0 down early on. They now lead the Mets 6-2, bottom 6. You got the Guards 8-2 over the Athletics. You got the Braves 7-0 over the Stanks, bottom of the 5th inning. So Tampa Bay's 5-0 over Baltimore. I don't like betting those games. We'll be happy. We'll see if Dane likes any of those, and we got our Black Cloud coming up next.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane closing out hour number 1 of our 2-hour extravaganza with, you know what, our favorite play, our Black Cloud play of the night. All right, I only got a couple of games going on or yet to get underway, so we'll choose from one of those, obviously. And I'm going to head out to Arizona. That Cardinal Arizona Diamondback game, should be a pretty good game. Two teams fighting for a wild card spot, especially Arizona. That needs to, really be careful. Otherwise, they're going to fall too far behind. I think it's going to be runs. That's as simple as that. Cardinals 7-2 over their last 9. Heading into the All-Star break, obviously. Arizona 21-7 over their last 28 games. Arizona's got the 4th worst bullpen ERA-wise in all of baseball. So even if the starter Brandon Pfaadt pitches well, which he's capable of doing, you still always have that extra little ace in your hole, and that's that Arizona bullpen. So numbers 8.5. I'm surprised. I thought it would be 9, maybe even 9.5. Not too many 9.5s around, but I thought it might be 9, and it's not. It's 8.5. Like I said, even if you don't get that many runs to start, the Arizona bullpen is more than capable of imploding. So over 8.5 runs. We're 25 games over 500. Oh, by the way, with our Black Cloud, 55-30. And I think we get some runs tonight. I think we got 5-4, 6-4, 7-5, something like that written on this game. Hopefully the bats come through. Over 8.5 St. Louis at Arizona, Dane.
I like that a lot, Scotty. When you gave your 5 on the line at the top of the show, this over in this game between Arizona and St. Louis was one of the ones I liked the most. You mentioned the bullpen ERA for Arizona as well. And listen, I also just believe you talked about Arizona needing to kind of stay in it. I think they're too far back already. I think it's the Dodgers and the Giants and the Padres that are going to be fighting for it. I think Arizona is kind of, falling way too far behind, but I do think that offense is still good. I mean, Eugenio Suarez, I think, is right there in the home run race as well. But I'm with you. I think that, again, these pitchers are out of their routine. We talked about it with Tommy. And, I think there are some spots here where you can attack. I think both these offenses can get it done. I like your Black Cloud. I like the trends you were given with it. I would go over the 8.5 as well.
All right. Let me throw this at you before we get to the other half when we got a couple of golfing gamblers on, right? Okay. Cam and Brady. So, yeah. There's no right or wrong answer to this, but this is how you turn a 50-1 payoff into really only a 4.5 or 5-1 payoff. The initial question is, would you rather have Scotty Scheffler at 5-1 or 10 guys at 50-1? Again, there's not a right or wrong answer, but think about that for a second, Dane, and I'll explain this. This is why golfing gamblers are misguided fools, as I like to call them. Because for the most part, let's say, make it nice and easy, we're going to take 10 golfers all at 50-1, and we're going to put $10 on those guys, right?
Okay.
Now, you can only win once, right? There's only one winner. So even if you win, which is certainly no assumption, but even if you win, how much are you winning? Well, $500.
You're losing the 90. Right.
No,
you're losing the 90
exactly.
on the other
You're losing
side.
the 90. You're only winning 410. So I know you're hitting a 50-1 shot, golfing bettors, but in reality, you're risking what? $100. And how much are you winning? 410. That's a 4-1 bet. That's all that is. So if I'm only going to win a 4-1 bet, Dane, it goes back to our original question. Would you rather have an overwhelming favorite like Scotty Scheffler at 4.5, 5-1, or 10 guys at 50-1? I'd rather have Scotty Scheffler at 5-1. There's not a wrong answer, but me personally, I think these golfing gamblers, they all get excited and say, oh, yeah, I hit a 50-1 shot. How much did you have on it? Oh, $10. Oh, I won $500. No, you're not winning 500. You're winning 400, and chances are you don't win. And you've lost $100 when you could have bet $100 on Scotty Scheffler.
Now, I hear what you're saying. They're kind of concentrated around Scotty Scheffler because you are, at best, going 1-9 on those bets, right? I do wonder, though, they have all sorts of those markets, right, Scott? What if you did that with top 5 top 10. Although I guess you're not going to get 50-1 on somebody to be in the top 10, but you could actually hit 3 of your 10 guys, and then maybe that changes it a little bit. And instead of going 10 incredible long shots, what if you go on 3 guys in the 20 to 30-1 range to try to even it out? But I hear what you're saying. And by the way, we'll talk to Brady in a little bit. Give me Scotty Scheffler, but I'm going to tell him that you say that they are fools.
Well, they are. They are. I don't mind. Now, I will say this. Brady, to his credit, doesn't give like 10 guys, unlike some other guys that we have on the air. Wow. Hour number 2 coming up next.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The best white American prospect since Larry Bird. And think about how Larry Bird kind of came in Magic and transcended the game. We've talked about for a long time, LeBron's towards the end. KD's towards the end. Steph Curry's towards the end. Who is going to be the American face of basketball?
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Dane, hour number 2. We're in a little bit of trouble.
We're in a lot of trouble, Scotty.
Shootout. We're in a lot of trouble. Yeah,
we're in a lot of trouble.
Alicia Gray.
Alicia Gray went 1 of 4 from the first rack, or 1 of 5 from the first rack. She needs to hit these money balls, these big-time deep ones that are extra. She just missed her first one. She's at the top of the key with 10 points. So she's going to really need to get hot. She's missed the first 2 from that, right? The first 3 from the top of the key. She really would need to start going scorched earth, and I don't see it in the cards. She missed the entire rack at the top of the key. She did hit the big one, but it's not going to – I don't think it's going to matter. I think Ionescu is mathematically going to get this done right here, although Gray is getting hot from the wing. I will say that. She hit the entire wing, the entire rack from the left wing, and I don't know if that's enough, though. She's going to be behind. Ionescu is going to be the 3-point shooting champion for the WNBA. Alicia Gray finished with 22, not even better than her first round of 28. It was Ionescu with 30 in the finals and Alicia Gray with 22. So Ionescu, I think now, is the back-to-back 3-point shooting champion for the WNBA.
Yeah, she hit like 15 in a row, right? I wasn't keeping exact, but she went through a stretch of the second rack into like the fourth rack. What are there, 5 racks, I think? Yeah. I don't think she missed, honestly, including the 2 extra bonus balls in which she got 3 points instead of 1. So
I will say this. I appreciate the margin of victory there was 8, and you get like 3 points for each of those really deep ones, and Iniescu hit both of those. So even if she didn't hit both of those, she still would have won. She had that big of a margin. It would have been a shame if it really came down to like just hitting those kind of bonus balls, but Iniescu put off a really strong performance, deserving to win this one. I do believe it's back-to-back.
Yeah. No Caitlin Clark. Also, so it's a little flawed. She was hurt. I'm sure the people in Indianapolis really like the WNBA couldn't have had a worse situation. It's been a pretty good ride for them. It really has. But they had the All-Star game in Indianapolis. Caitlin Clark, you think the place is going to be sold out? This, that, right? And then she comes up lame. She can't play. Can't blame her, right? And there are, let's say, a lot of open seats. Let's put it that. If you wanted to go to this event, you could have gone to this event. I will tell you that. I don't know how the All-Star game will be Sunday, but I think it's Sunday, right? It's not, I don't think it's tomorrow. But
I think it's Saturday night. I think it's tomorrow night.
Saturday night? That's right.
I'll double check that. But I think it's tomorrow night.
It's Saturday.
It is. It's Team Collier against Team Clark tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m.
All right. I was going to give the phone the run. Here we go. Back to the baseball board here. We got the Brady Cannon coming up in a little bit. A lot of blowouts. Like I said, Dane, tonight, it's hard to bet these blowouts. It really is. If you had to, you can, obviously. But, you try not to go too crazy with the laying 6.5 runs or 5.5 runs. That gets a little goofy. So, 8th inning, we'll take a look at the couple close games. White Sox beating Pittsburgh 10-1. That's one of the blowouts. Padres 2-0 over the Nationals. Bottom 8. Nationals do have a runner on base, plus 560. I mean, this Nationals team, they fired their manager, Dane Martinez, your namesake. It hasn't helped. They only have 1 win. I think they're 1-4 since he got fired. So that hasn't provided any kind of spark whatsoever. So I probably, I don't want to lay the 1.5. That's minus 3-1. That's basically an unbettable game. Maybe over 2.5. Even that's minus 150.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say in this game and in some of these blowouts, right? You don't want to bet the blowout when it's 5, 6, 7-run margin, but I do think some of the live totals are still involved, right? And in this one, they're hanging 2.5 right now for San Diego and Washington, right? So like they can get one of these runs home, or you could get the Padres to tack on in the top of the 9th. I think, listen, the 2.5 actually is at minus 152. So I wouldn't mind going over that. It is some juice. And we've been talking about like what the bullpens do here coming right back out of the All-Star break. But this could be some of these blowout games. If you have a 7-run margin, you're not going to use your highest leverage bullpen guys coming out, right? Everybody's got to get work. Right. So if there is a 5-run game, a 6-run game, you're going to throw in your C and D level bullpen guys, which may still allow for kind of these live totals to be opportunities to go over.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what I'll do. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we saw the Blue Jays blow an 8-0 lead to your Yankees. How about San Fran's got 2 runners on top of the 7th inning?
They do.
You can take them down 4-0. You can take them plus 3.5 runs and basically pick them, and you can grab them plus 870 on the money line. I would do a split, whatever you were going to put on it, even if it's just a hunch bet, which is what this would be. I'll just put a little aside on the plus 3.5 runs, and I'll take a little flyer on the plus 870. Knowing that Toronto could be bad.
That's interesting to me because it's already the top of the 7th, right? And you're not going to likely get the Blue Jays hitting in the bottom of the 9th, right? So you're only going to get 2 more Blue Jays at bats, it looks like. What I would do, you were talking about splitting the difference. I might do it even differently, but in one bet. Not bet the money line at almost 9-1. Not bet the plus 3.5 runs, which is your standard kind of minus 112. But I would consider plus 2.5 instead of the full plus 3.5 to get better plus money and still think kind of that San Francisco can score here because they've got 2 runners on. That might be a way that I kind of split the difference. You're talking about splitting the bet among money line and what they're actually giving you in the run line. I'm talking about finding the average of what they could give you and think about plus 1.5 or plus 2.5 as a bet.
Right. I thought you were going to say take the 3.5 and the over, which surprisingly enough, they allow you to do. Sometimes they surprise me with stuff you can parlay it, and other times they disappoint me with stuff you can't. I'm surprised they allow you to do that. I mean, listen, you do need 3 more runs to get that 7, over 6.5, but you could get that. You could get 5 too. It doesn't necessarily have to be all San Fran and still be able to get the over 7 and cash that 3.5 to 1 ticket. So, all right, so a little flyer on just the Giants. However you want to guys bet that, but I think they're again with that Toronto bullpen being in play, I think they're worth a crack. Nothing out of the Royals. Disappointing. 5-4, top of the 8th inning.
They just added the top of the 8th also. There are now 3 outs. We're going to the bottom of the 8th. So the Royals would have only one more chance here. Remember, we were talking about them potentially coming back. We were also talking about that team total at 5.5. They still are at 4. They got all 4 runs, Scotty, in 1 inning, right? So they had some kind of, blow up right there. But other than that, Miami has been strong, and they are now in the bottom of the 8th. So there's only going to be one more chance for the Royals in that one.
Not that I hate to say it because we're partners here, but you were dead right about our boy Chris Paddock. 4 runs in the first inning for the pathetic Rockies. I don't know if they scored 4 runs in an inning before tonight. I really don't. Probably, but it can't be too many times. I'll tell you that. 4-0 Rockies, top of the 2nd. They're now a minus 430 favorite over Minnesota.
I don't like being right in that one, but I knew it. Tommy said it. We can't back Paddock. I guess my question is, there's still also the idea that they get Paddock out of there and Minnesota still comes back to win. What do you think about that at 3-1 for Minnesota, right? I mean, Colorado is horrible. The only reason I was off them is Paddock, but Paddock comes up a crooked number in the first inning. Maybe he's not long for this game, and you can still get the Twins. Maybe take a Twins team total because they are in Colorado, Scott.
Yeah, that's true. Twins. You know what? Let me just see first off. It's still. How many pitches did Paddock throw in the first inning? 34. Gave up 5 hits. They probably. No, but I'm just thinking. Hopefully, I was wishing they would take him out of the game after 1, but I doubt they'll do that. So maybe Minnesota team total. Yeah, what's it going to be? 5.5 or so? I would think.
Yeah, because the game closed at 11 on the number, right?
Yeah.
So
4.5 even. Ooh. Minus 130, but still
it's not
4.5. That's not bad.
They'll still score some runs.
Yeah, I like that actually. Game live. Brady Cannon, golf ball coming up next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups. My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
And welcome back. It is In-Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Dane, hour number 2. We'll put the baseball aside for a second, talk a little golf. The Open Championship, 2 rounds in the books. We got 2 to go, so let's bring in our good buddy Brady Cannon, who you see here all the time, SportsGrid Radio TV host. Brady, Scott, and Dane, you know what? You know me, Brady. Forget about who's on top, even though it's a big name. I always like to start at who's on the bottom. So it's cut day. So let me throw out some big names. We got no Brooks Koepka. Colin Morikawa, no Patrick Reed, Cameron Young. Any 1, 2, or 3 of the guys that did not make the cut surprise you, disappoint you?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that really disappointed me was Bryson DeChambeau making the cut. Oh my gosh, one of the more worst beats of my career. That was a bet I gave out here on SportsGrid, wrote about it everywhere, and he shoots a 78 on day 1, and I'm just about ready to count my money, and the guy shoots 65 today, makes 4 birdies in the final 6 holes to make it on the number. That was disappointing. Plus 350 to miss the cut too, and missed out on that one. Oh well. Morikawa, it's a little surprising, but that guy is really struggling right now. He's on his 3rd caddy of the season. He just can't seem to figure it out. Patrick Cantlay doesn't surprise me. Cameron Smith is interesting. He's gone to the LIV circuit, of course. He won the British Open, 3 years ago in 2022. He played in all 4 majors this year and missed the cut in all 4 of them. That's not good. And I think Koepka missed it in 3 out of 4. He had a good U.S. Open. I want to say he finished 12th last month at Oakmont. But Koepka, is starting, and maybe not even starting, but I think it's time to be concerned about Brooks Koepka. And, it's like this LIV circuit has kind of sucked a little of the motivation out of some of these guys, and maybe the proper preparation for major championships as well. I think when you're not playing week to week or every couple of weeks, that side of the golf world just doesn't look as sharp right now.
Hey, Brady, let me ask you, we all know about Scotty at the top of the board, right? But I guess I want to ask you, there's 4 guys and then a big drop to 5 under, right? So I guess my question for you is if you want to get in live right now, how far back can you go? The guys that are at 5 under, do they still have any kind of legitimate shot in your opinion? Do you think anybody's going to be able to actually pick up 5 strokes on Scotty Scheffler over the next 2 days? Or is this really at this point a 4-horse field?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dane, and I think that's the really hard part to figure out. I'll tell you one thing. Historically speaking, and this is courtesy of my friend Justin Ray on Twitter. He does a fantastic job with trends and stats and stuff like that. He's actually there in Portrush. 44 out of the last 47 men's major championships. Heading into the 3rd round, 44 out of 47 winners have been tied for 9th or better. And so that says that the -5s are still in this thing. Now, it is a big mountain to climb when that guy on top is Scotty Scheffler, but there are some possible red flags going on with Scheffler. We saw it at Oakmont where he got a little shaky with the driver. He was pulling it left. He hasn't been great off the tee so far in this competition. He's losing strokes to the field off the tee. And the other thing that will give you some concern is the fact that he is absolutely scorching hot with the putter. He is better. He is number 1 in this field for strokes gained putting, and he's almost better than 2 strokes than anyone else. And it was just last week at the Scottish Open that he was one of the absolute worst putters in the field. So putting is extremely volatile. And to be this good through 2 rounds you're just thinking he's got to cool off, here pretty quickly. If he doesn't, if he goes into Saturday and putts lights out again, this tournament could be over. But you have to believe that's going to probably come back. That's going to regress a bit. And if he continues to be a little bit shaky off the tee, that might give some of these guys an opening. Like, major winners, Brian Harman, who won here a couple of years ago, Matt Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open a few years ago. You got Tyrrell Hatton and Robert McIntyre there lurking. They are big-time class players, just both finished top 5 at the U.S. Open. But if you're going to dive down, and I think the value play is Harris English. This guy's an outstanding player. Finished runner-up to Scotty at the PGA Championship, won at Torrey Pines earlier this year. He looks to be in super form. And he is tied. He's at the same score as McIntyre and Hatton. And Hatton and McIntyre are around 28 or 30 to 1. And English is 65 to 1. I don't know why there's the discrepancy there. I think that's a lot of value on Harris English.
All right. What about, got to throw his name out there, what about McIlroy, 7 shots back?
Well, I like where we're at here because one of my head-to-head matchup plays was Scotty to beat Rory, so I'm looking pretty good there. But I'm not counting my chickens yet. I thought I had Bryson DeChambeau in the barn too, but my goodness. No, I think Rory's definitely too far back. You could kind of see the thing we've seen out of Rory many times in the past where he's totally out of contention and finds his way into a top 5 finish or something like that. But I don't know if I want to bet on that because you always pay a tax for Rory. I mean, what's his price to finish top 5? Plus, is it even 3 to 1? It's, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, it's like the Kansas City Chiefs. You rarely get a fair price on those guys. So one I do like, Jon Rahm, it seems to be just a carbon copy of what he did at the U.S. Open, where he played really good golf from tee to green, and he couldn't make a putt. And it's kind of the same thing going on here. He has not been able to make a putt, and it's odd for Jon Rahm, who is a good putter. He's 4th in this field for strokes gained tee to green right now. So you can get a little less than 3 to 1, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 1 for Jon Rahm to finish top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if he finds a way to sneak into the top 10.
Brady, real quick, I actually believe Matty Fitz is the best value on the board. He's only 1 back. He's at 5 or 6 to 1, and wasn't he in good form and at the Scottish Open last week?
Absolutely. He's really coming around, and I think that number is completely fair. No doubt about it. I mean, if you're going to bet somebody at the top, I don't think it's going to be Hao Tong Lee. He doesn't really have the experience. Obviously, Fitzpatrick's been there and done that before. Not a bad play at all.
Brady, great job, man. We'll do it again soon. Enjoy the rest of the Open. Thanks, man.
Against him, I'm not surprised that he had no back down in his game because he is a player that plays with confidence and swag, and it was really cool to see him get the job done and the emotion at the 18th green with the interview with Amanda, especially for like a really kind of like Jersey boy.
Tough
Good to see a little emotion
with the gold necklace. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah,
sure.
that was super cool.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
And Twitter started blowing up that I think it was someone from TSN that was in the arena that was posting this stuff. And I'm sure, like, when they, it's a beer league, so after the first period, when they're all sitting there in the room, I'm sure somebody said, hey, Connor, you're getting lit up on Twitter. We're beating you 4-0. Ha, ha, ha. And he's probably thinking, like, I can't even play a beer league game without you guys, like, saying what the score is.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, Coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Shohei Ohtani can do something that nobody else in Major League Baseball can do. That means being maybe one of, if not the top 5 best hitters in baseball, and then go on the mound and throw some gems out here. Like, he threw 9 innings so far in his season, which isn't a lot, but that ERA is at 1. Are we saying that once he gets to 5 and 6 innings, that ERA is going to stay at 1? No, it isn't. But if it does, my goodness. I mean, just hand him the Cy Young on top of it as well. It's cheating.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Thanks again, Brady Cannon, for joining us, talking a little golf, as we always do with Brady. Back to the baseball board, kind of giving out some winners left and right all over the place here. A lot of subtle winners. First up in Philadelphia, Angels lead the Phillies, Dane, 6-5. The fifth home run, Bryce Harper. So even though we said Bryce Harper was a good bet and he had already hit one, you know what? He hit another one. So there you go. So don't say we didn't tell you he was going to hit a home run even before he actually hit it. So 6-5, Harper with 2 home runs, having a monster day. So they're back in it. We got Kansas City finally coming off the schneid here, hitting a solo home run, top of the 9th inning. They've tied Florida or Miami. 5-5, heading to the bottom of the 9th, right?
Yes. That one's going into the bottom of the 9th, 5-5. 11.5 is the total that they're giving you. The question really is, will this game go to extra innings or not? And this is something we have talked about, Scott, because if you think this game goes to extra innings, I would not be surprised to see a little bit of a picket fence and both teams either scoring or one team scoring multiple runs. So the 11.5 over is interesting to me at -110. Really, your whammy is if the Marlins actually score in walk-off fashion here in the bottom of the 9th.
Right. And I'm not, actually, I shouldn't say that because they've been doing this year. They're giving you an over-under, 11.5. Years past, they didn't do that. I mean, initially they did because they didn't know any better. Then both teams, would score all the time. Then they finally pulled it, and really they would pull it around bottom of the 8th. Forget about the 9th. Even like bottom 8, you had to get it in before they yanked that because they knew there were so many runs being scored. But not this year, and not over the last month or so. That bottom of the 9th inning, chances, and it's not a 1-1 game, 5-5 game, and they're still hanging 11.5. So they're not afraid of this thing going to extra innings.
And we talked about it also about the game theory, right, of bunting that man over at the very beginning of the inning with the man on second base. And we've talked about how that is not happening to the extent that we thought it would happen. So this one is pretty much like, how you have the Nerfy, right? Like, will there be a run scored? This is like, will Miami walk it off here? Will the final be 6-5 in regulation? Because I think if we go to extra innings, I do not think it stays under the 11.5.
All right. How about your Yankees? Down 7-0. It's now 7-3. Although FanDuel, my FanDuel has 7-2, but it is 7-3.
It is 7-3.
Cody Bellinger batting with 2 on. 10-1. 10.5-1.
I would not do it. I would not do it just because there's 2 outs in this inning. And even if they do get another run home, you're still looking at 7-3, 7-4. I personally wouldn't do it, although we have seen the Yankees have huge comebacks before. The one other thing I will say real quick, Scotty, is the Nationals tied San Diego up at 2, but the Padres have now gone back ahead. They lead 3-2 in the top of the 9th, and they have runners on to potentially tack on more. I bring this up because the last time we saw it when it was 2-0, one of the things I said was some of these totals could still be live. And if you remember, Scott, at that point in time, they were hanging 2.5 runs live. There are now 5 runs on the board, and we may get even more if the Padres tack on here because they have runners on second and third and only 1 out, in my opinion, here, based on what I'm seeing over on FanDuel. So Washington came back, but then San Diego answered right back.
All right. Phillies, by the way, over under. They're giving you plus 850. I don't think I've seen an over-under plus 850 odds-wise. It's 11.5. It's 6-5. Heading to the bottom of the ninth. Philadelphia obviously needs to score 1 run to force extra innings or 2 to win it. They just yanked it off the board. But I was going to say maybe a flyer, who knows, with that god-awful Angels bullpen if you didn't have a dog in the fight already. So, but they just yanked it off the board, unfortunately. Giants did not score. We talked about they had a couple of runners on in the 7th. They didn't score, so still 4-0, top of the 8th. But they got another runner on, with looks like at least 1 out, trailing 4-0 at Toronto. Nothing out of the Metsies. They're getting blown out, 7-2. Reds still have the bases loaded top of the 8th inning. Mets were leading 2-0 in that game, too. Devil Dogs 11-0 over Baltimore. So much for Charlie Morton's good run with the Orioles.
I'll say this.
Go ahead.
That's where I was going to go. No score Tigers Rangers, right? After 4.5 innings, that live total has gone all the way down to 3.5, Scott. Once we get into second, third time through the lineup, the bullpen's getting in. I like the over 3.5 for these teams to eventually score in that one. I think the scoreless start really depresses the live number.
Yeah, I like that. 3.5. I think you get 4 runs. Corbin's got 86 pitches, so he's probably done. Olsen has 71. He'll probably be done after 5. Yeah. All right, back to the baseball board when we come back.
Against him, I'm not surprised that he had no back down in his game, because he is a player that plays with confidence and swag, and it was really cool to see him get the job done, and the emotion at the 18th green with the interview with Amanda, especially for like a really kind of like Jersey boy.
Tough
Good to
Jersey
see a little
guy
emotion
with the gold necklace. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah,
sure.
That was super cool. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
And Twitter started blowing up that I think it was someone from TSN that was in the arena that was posting this stuff. And I'm sure, like, when it's a beer league, so after the first period, when they're all sitting there in the room, I'm sure somebody said, hey, Connor, you're getting lit up on Twitter. We're beating you 4-0. Ha, ha, ha. And he's probably thinking, like, I can't even play a beer league game without you guys, like, saying what the score is.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Shohei Ohtani can do something that nobody else in Major League Baseball can do. That means being maybe one of, if not the top 5 best hitters in baseball, and then go on the mound and throw some gems out here. Like, he threw 9 innings so far in his season, which isn't a lot, but that ERA is at 1. Are we saying that once he gets to 5 and 6 innings, that ERA is going to stay at 1? No, it isn't. But if it does, my goodness. I mean, just hand him the Cy Young on top of it as well. It's cheating.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Dane checking out all the baseball action. Also gave out a goofy prop at the top of the show, Dane. We said we were going to bet all unders on baseball pitchers strikeout props, right? So we do goofy things like that from time to time. I will tell you, I looked at it. All right, Chicago and Pittsburgh, 10-1 final. White Sox beat the Pirates. Falter, 2 strikeouts, under. Cannon, 2 strikeouts, under. So far, 2-0, just to start. Let me go to the next game that's over.
Okay.
Angels beat the Phillies 6-5. Wow, Philadelphia didn't score. So, all right. Phillies, Luzardo, 7. That probably
That's
went
got to be
over.
an over.
I don't think
That's
he
got to
was.
be over. Yeah.
His was 6.5. All right, so that's a loser. I'll write down loser. So 2
I got
and
you.
1.
I got
The
you.
other
So we're
pitchers
1 and
didn't
2.
have. Yeah, so we're 2 and 1.
I mean 2 and 1. Yeah, yeah, 2 and 1.
Yeah, because Cannon and Falter both went under. So
Yep.
if you bet the unders, we're 2 and 1. The pitcher for the Angels, there was no strikeout with him. So all right, so 2 and 1. We'll see. The goal was 16 and 10. 15 and 11, maybe, win some money depending on the VIX. So we just got to keep an eye on.
It doesn't have to only be the games that have gone final, Scott. Remember, as soon as the starter's pulled, we can go ahead and tally them up, right? I know you're looking at the ones that are final, but remember, for this kind of prop, we can go ahead and tally it up. We have Xavier Edwards hitting now, man on second base, but 2 outs for the Miami Marlins. I'm trying to find out if this game goes to extra innings because we wanted those Royals to go over 5.5. This is a huge at-bat for Xavier Edwards to see if they could win the game in walk-off fashion for the Marlins or if we go to extra innings. And if we go to extra innings, all of that is live. The over 5.5 for the Royals coming back to win. So this is a big at-bat here with 2 outs and a proverbial duck on the pond for Miami.
Yeah. I know this is not going to happen completely, but I've seen it. I bring it up just because I've seen this A's team do this. It is amazing. If they had a category on who scores the most runs being blown out in the top or bottom of the ninth inning, I swear the A's would lead by far. Just by far. You are never out of an over with this A's team. They never give up. They were down 8-0. Check that. They were down 8-1. 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. 2 here in the 9th. It's 8-5. There's 1 out and a runner on second base. Like I said, I've seen this goofy team put together, never come back all the way and win or even tie. But I can't tell you how many times I've seen them. I'm betting against them, and I have like an 8-1, 6-1 lead, and I'll be darned if they don't put 2-3 runs on the board and put a couple of runners on base, and I got to sweat this thing out. So if you're a Cleveland backer tonight, you're up. Now there you go. 8-6. Now it is.
8-6.
Now you got the tying run to the plate in a game you were trailing 8-1 in the ninth inning.
That's really good information, Scott, to be quite honest, because you'll see them when they're getting blown out. You'll see them hanging plus 5.5, plus 4.5, right? And those are situations where maybe you file that away and you say, hey, the A's, like you said, if they don't come back and win all the time, they're going to be offering you 4.5 runs, 3.5 runs, 5.5 runs. And I would like to run the numbers on that. You're saying it kind of anecdotally, right? But I would like to see if it ever touched plus 4.5, if those bets are good on the athletic side. Something to consider, something to file away.
Yeah. I tell you, if you want to have a little fun, take a little flyer. They got a runner on second base with 1 out. I wouldn't necessarily go the 15-1, although you could, but they're giving you 1.5 runs plus 280. 1 base hit, and it's an 8-7 game.
What inning are we in?
I hope they lose. Top of the 9th. Last
blips. I don't know. You're basically betting on just this one batter, right? So I'm not sure if I could do that.
Well, there's 1 out. So you got two batters to get a base hit.
All right. What I will say is we are going to extra innings in Miami, my friend, tied at 5, it looks like. Okay, so we do go to extra innings. The Royals will be up, and they will get that runner on second base. So if we get the over 5.5 right there, if that run scores, the over 5.5 team total comes in. So we'll be starting kind of with a head start, as it will, as we go to the top of the 10th. It will go to extras in Miami.
And they posted an over-under. Now it's 12.5.
Yep.
So it went from 11.5.
The big offense. Yep.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm surprised. Not surprised. Again, I've seen it, but why they would put up a number bottom of the 9th at 11.5, and then have it go extra innings and then give it 12.5. I would have thought they just wouldn't have posted a number at bottom of the 9th. Because now you get yourself a middle. I mean, you can bet if you bet the over 11.5, now you just bet the under 12.5. Although it is juiced a little bit, but
the common way to get to 12 though, Scotty, would be 6-6, which would not end the game, right? The middle you're talking about only happens with a 7-5 final, which is also something that can't happen with Miami winning 7-5 unless it's a 2-run homer, right? So it's a very thin needle. You would need Kansas City to win by exactly a 7-5 final, which is possible, but it's just I don't know if it's a middle I would play.
Yeah. Padres with 5 in the 9th, now lead at 7-2. Blew a 2-0 lead. and responded just like that, 5 runs. And if you had the under, welcome to gambling, right? Under 8.5, 2-0 lead, bottom of the 8th, can't lose, right? I mean, and they tie it up and then they score. It's not even, you don't even have the extra inning excuse.
Right.
That this happened in regulation. So that game goes over.
We also talked about Detroit, Texas, and how that game is still scoreless now in the top of the 6th. They have, however, gone to the bullpen. Okay, so Armstrong is in, replacing Patrick Corbin. Remember, he was pushing, 70, 80 pitches already, and this is usually 86, when runs are scored. So we get to the bullpen. We get in that 6th inning, 3rd time through the lineup. Let's see if we start to get some runs in Texas.
Yeah. Nothing out of the Twinkies. Still down 5-0 to Colorado, top of the 4th. The over-under is still 11.5. A little surprised that's not. Well, I guess that makes sense since Colorado's got the 5 there. Minnesota plus 4.5 runs, but it's juiced minus 144. I really don't think they're going to get blown out with Kyle Freeland on the hill. He's pitched a little better of late, but that's if you're the Twins, you got to win this series. You got to not only win, you got to sweep in my eyes. The times get running short here on Minnesota and some of these teams. The Kansas Cities of the world. Yeah. You got to win these games that you're supposed to win, and you're supposed to win in Colorado. You are. So
you definitely are. Could I interest you in plus money for a Twins team total over 3.5?
I would take that. You can't possibly get shut out, right?
Well, it's plus money right now.
In the world.
It's plus run.
No,
it's
you
plus
got
money.
5 too. You got the carrot. It's not like 2 when they know they only need 3. I mean, they need 6 or at least 5 anyway. So plus money, you get the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. You got 5 at bats against Kyle Freeland, who's 1-10.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Maybe they don't come all the way back to win with the plus 4.5 or whatever, but they still will score some runs. Remember, it is Colorado. This is a game that closed at 11. I got good news for you in Miami. Bobby Witt Jr. singled to lead off the top of the 10th. So they now have runners on the corners, nobody out, and we are getting into the heart of the Kansas City order. We didn't talk about it, right? But Bobby Witt is who led off. It's Vinny P. Pasquantino now up for the Kansas City Royals, and he's doing it in a situation where even if he grounds into a double play, for goodness sakes, the Royals would put 1 on the board.
Yeah, right. Little infield single. That's why the runner didn't score. If you're running, why that just got on now. So A's didn't score again. All right, you play some hunches. 8-6, they lose. But just in the back of your mind, just know 8-2, 7-1. This A's team, I'm telling you, I've seen it happen many times this year where for whatever reason they don't give up, or the other team brings in like the absolute worst of the worst in their bullpen, right? You're not going to bring in, as you always say, their ace. Although Class A was on the hill for the guards when
at the end, not when it was 8, not when it was 8-1, maybe at the end when everybody got a little closer. Yeah. That could be it, right? But we'll see. Yeah. Pasquantino popped up, runners on 2nd and 3rd, 1 out in Miami at the top of the 10th. We'll check it out when we come back.
Not even a double play ball. All right, Camp Stewart coming up next.
Against him, I'm not surprised that he had no back down in his game, because he is a player that plays with confidence and swag, and it was really cool to see him get the job done, and the emotion at the 18th green with the interview with Amanda, especially for like a really kind of like Jersey boy.
Tough
Good to see a little emotion
with the gold necklace. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah,
sure.
that was super cool.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
And Twitter started blowing up that I think it was someone from TSN that was in the arena that was posting this stuff. And I'm sure, like, when they, it's a beer league, so after the first period, when they're all sitting there in the room, I'm sure somebody said, hey, Connor, you're getting lit up on Twitter. We're beating you 4-0. Ha, ha, ha. And he's probably thinking, like, I can't even play a beer league game without you guys, like, saying what the score is.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And I showed you the Heisman odds a week or 2 ago, And they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. Like, I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Shohei Ohtani can do something that nobody else in Major League Baseball can do. That means being maybe one of, if not the top 5 best hitters in baseball, and then go on the mound and throw some gems out here. Like, he threw 9 innings so far in his season, which isn't a lot, but that ERA is at 1. Are we saying that once he gets to 5 and 6 innings, that ERA is going to stay at 1? No, it isn't. But if it does, my goodness. I mean, just hand him the Cy Young on top of it as well. It's cheating.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the grid. Some good news for our Kansas City backers, including Mr. Martinez. 2-run, 2-out double after having first and third, nobody out. Adam Frazier with his .255 swelty batting average lines a shot down the right field line, 2-run scores, so the Royals now lead 7-5. Oh, did like that play. I will put that aside for a sec. Let's bring in our good buddy, Mr. Cam Stewart, who takes over along with Gabe Morency at the top of the hour. What's going on, Cam? How are you today, bud?
Well, I'll have two Royales with cheese, please. I'm with Dane. I need Kansas City in a major way. I love those Royales with cheese. Let's go, Kansas City. Yeah, I'm just watching the CFL game. It's been absolute madness, too. The Winnipeg starting quarterback, Zach Collaros, from the University of Cincinnati, who played with the Kelsey brothers, just got knocked out of the game. So Chris Strevler, NFL third-string preseason guru backup. Remember Chris? You remember Chris Strevler? Yes, he did. I knew
One of the many quarterbacks that my guy Garrett Wilson has caught a touchdown pass from. But now he might have some consistency. But I digress. I gotta get my green and white in there eventually. We're spending money, by the way, Cam. We are spending money here with the Jets over the last week.
I got to be honest with you. We were on the show last night. Me and Gabe were both very high on the Jets this year. I'm down on the fish, high on the Jets, and we'll see what happens. But, Scott, where do you want to go? Because we got a lot of things going on. We got baseball. We got Canadian football. We got golf.
Let me throw one thing at you.
Sure.
Let me throw the CFL, believe it or not, at you. Some guy said this on my podcast today who covers, well, not covers, but loves the CFL. He says the Winnipeg Blue Bombers head coach is 17-0 after bye weeks, which is
Mike O'Shea.
Winnipeg.
Mike O'Shea.
Andy Reid.
Mike O'Shea, kind of like when I was younger and less beat down, he was kind of like my guy. People thought we were like brothers, but he's a little skinnier and better looking. Mike O'Shea, former Toronto Argonaut and Hamilton Tiger Cat, great CFL player, great coach, it's true. The thing with the Bombers is, Scott, I'll tell you one thing about them. Great in the regular season, horrible favorites when it comes to the Grey Cup. Like last year, the Argos were like monster dogs. They won outright. Winnipeg's one of those teams. They're very, how do I compare them in an NFL team in a 9-team league? They're very similar to the Kansas City Chiefs, but not better in crucial games. Older players that, like, they used to crush the league, but now a lot of these younger teams are getting good, a.k.a. the Calgary Stampeders with Vernon Adams from the University of Oregon. And Alfred, this receiver they have from Utah, first overall pick in the CFL draft, is a monster. So, yeah, it's great. Dane, if you love college football, CFL is great because you see all these guys in college.
Yeah, guys you recognize.
You talk about, like, Vernon Adams went to Oregon, right? So it was crazy. And they had a CFL thing. The biggest conference in the United States to produce CFL players, Gabe and I thought it was the MAC. It's actually the Big 12. The Big 12 has the most CFLers, and the school, Memphis Tigers, produces the most CFL players. That's if anybody's caring out there. But we're here to gamble. I'm giving you CFL trivia. Yep. What's up, Dane?
Yeah, we go into the weekend across the pond, right, with the Open. The way I want to ask you this question, and I asked Brady Cannon this earlier, is how far back are you willing to go? I know you already have plays, but let's say you have nothing so far, and you were trying to dip your toe in the water, watch something over the weekend. Can someone -5 or lower still be in it, or is it crazy to think someone's going to gain 5 shots on Scotty over the weekend?
Dane, I would say 8, but due to the quality of the leaderboard, I'd probably say 6. But you have to remember, this weather can change on a dime, as we mentioned. Some guys get the best of it. Some guys get the worst of it. They're expecting rain. So say Scheffler, the rain happens in the late draw, and he's the last guy to go off, and the winds pick up. A good round might be even -1. Some guys, if it's sunny in the in the morning, with no way, 6 under, 7 under is not out of the question. Look what Bryson DeChambeau did today. He made the cut. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, he finished +1 and made the cut after like 7 over. Like, you can go low here when it's wet, and that course is absolutely soaked. So if they get no rain, no winds, and they just guys play and it's soft, man, these guys can go low. I'd go that deep, but then you look at the top of the leaderboard and go, look at the quality. Scotty Scheffler, Matthew Fitzpatrick's a U.S. Open winner. Brian Harmon's won an Open Championship. Hoa Tung Lee's a monster on the European Tour. Rasmus Højgaard, actually, I have his other brother. He's 4 under, Nikolai. So Tyrell, I have Dane, I'm going to tell you, I gave 5 picks. I got 4 guys in the top 10, and then I see Scheffler at the top, and I told Wetzel, this guy has to be played for a top 5 and top 10. So we're sitting kind of pretty right now. But the bottom line is, do you want to lay 175 with Scheffler? I'd say now is not the time. That window is gone. You could have got him at 5-1 at the start of the tournament, and anything can happen over the weekend. So maybe Scheffler stumbles a little bit, and if he does and gets 2 or 3 shots behind, maybe you can make a number. But I can't endorse -175. But this guy could run away with if he gets a good draw and the weather's good, he could run away with this thing. That's how good he is. So what do you think, Scott? You like anybody? Today. You like anybody other than Scheffler?
I took Scheffler. No, we had this conversation, Dane and I, and there's not a wrong answer. There really isn't. But would you rather have Scotty Scheffler at the beginning of the tournament at 5-1 or 10 guys? No, but 10 guys at 50-1.
Well, this is how I'm going to change. You're right, Scott. And Brady and I talked about it. And golf gamblers are greedy. We're naturally greedy people, and we want more. And Brady and I talked about it. We said if Scheffler goes off at +650, like some books offered a 6 and 7, we would hit it. We're like, 455. Like, what am I doing? Why am I nitpicking like that? Scott, I'm going to tell you now for majors, I'm just going to take Scheffler if he's over 4-1 and lessen my outrights and put him on. I'll have him and maybe 3 guys and a bomb instead of like, you know what I mean? We give like 6 picks, 8 picks because the fields are so big. This one I only did 5. And I got 4 guys in the top 10, but Scotty Scheffler, I have top 5. I just should have taken him outright for a bigger margin. Yeah. See, Dane, that's the whole problem with golf gambling. There's a lot of great guys, but when push comes to shove, you look at the leaderboard and Scotty's always there. He's Tiger Woods 2.0. He's lethal. Who do you guys like in the night games? I like Seattle. I just don't like the price at $135, $140.
I like Seattle as well. And Cam, I was telling Scott, I like the Seattle rotation. I like Seattle at +380 to win the division. I think they're only 5 games back. They do make hay this weekend. All of a sudden you blink and that's like 3.5 with about 70 games left. I think there's value there on the Mariners to win the AL West.
It would be nice if they had one more bat, Dane, but you're right. That rotation is absolutely lethal. I love that play at almost 4-1. I believe the Mariners are going to get it done and win 2 out of 3 for sure.
How about Milwaukee's won Priester's last 8 starts? Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
Spaghetti-O, glass now. Nope. Yeah, I don't like 190, but it's a parlay piece. Yeah.
There goes the parlay piece. Miami wins on a walk-off, 8-7.
Who did? Who won?
Miami.
Against him, I'm not surprised that he had no back down in his game because he is a player that plays with confidence and swag, and it was really cool to see him get the job done and the emotion at the 18th green with the interview with Amanda, especially for like a really kind of Jersey boy.
Tough
Good to see a little emotion
with the gold necklace. You're like, what's going on here? Yeah,
sure.
that was super cool.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
And Twitter started blowing up that I think it was someone from TSN that was in the arena that was posting this stuff. And I'm sure when they, it's a beer league, so after the first period, when they're all sitting there in the room, I'm sure somebody said, "Hey, Connor, you're getting lit up on Twitter. We're beating you 4-0. Ha, ha, ha." And he's probably thinking, I can't even play a beer league game without you guys saying what the score is.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. Like, I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Shohei Ohtani can do something that nobody else in Major League Baseball can do. That means being maybe one of, if not the top 5 best hitters in baseball, and then go on the mound and throw some gems out here. Like, he threw 9 innings so far in his season, which isn't a lot, but that ERA is at 1. Are we saying that once he gets to 5 and 6 innings, that ERA is going to stay at 1? No, it isn't. But if it does, my goodness. I mean, just hand him the Cy Young on top of it as well. It's cheating.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Thanks again, Cam Stewart, for joining us. Cam and Gabe at the top of the hour. They'll take you over the next 2 right here on SportsGrid Radio, SportsGrid TV. So, yeah, a little update if we got that in there. Miami spots Kansas City. You know, we're, again, extra innings where over-unders go to die, right? Tied at 5. Game had already gone over, but KC scores 2. You know, not just the one, Dane. They take a 7-5, seemingly good commanding lead, bottom of the 10th inning. They score 1, and then the Stowers kid who was in the home run derby there hits a 2-run blast, and they win 8-7 Miami on a walk-off. So good news for you, bad for Cam.
3-run. Kansas City scored 2 in the top of the 10th, and then Miami scored 3 in the bottom of the 10th. I only corrected to make that point, Scott, because another thing, just like you talked about with the A's, kind of making it back, but not all the way back, it's something to file away. We were surprised to see them still hanging a live total in the 9th inning. I think, remember when we used to do this show, we would have all sorts of alerts. I think tie games in the 8th inning is something we have to look at. We have to look at the live total, and we have to look at where they are in the batting order. Because quite frankly, as soon as I saw Kansas City leading off with Bobby Witt Jr. and knowing that they were in the middle of the order, I was thinking they were going to score runs. But I think, you know, it's definitely another kind of blueprint to look for. The idea is that runs are scored in extra innings.
Yeah, they scored 3. The home run was a 2-run homer. They had scored 1 on a double to make it 7-6, and then the 2-run homer. But 3, right? 3 in all, so 8-7. So yeah, this is good news for you because that's why sometimes you don't. Listen, hindsight's 20/20, right? But you know, sometimes you don't take the team to come all the way back. You know, you just take them plus a run and a half. As long as my kind of thing is, if they're going to give me odds, even though my team doesn't have to win. That's when I kind of do that. If I have to lay odds, then no, I won't do it. But if they want to give me odds, you know, so my team can only lose by 1 run, then, you know, the worst thing in the world isn't that bad because you're going to be winning money.
And the other way we talked about it was still taking that team losing on their team total. And that's what we did with the Kansas City Royals over 5.5. Another thing we've been talking about all night long is the idea that could the Colorado Rockies actually get this done against Paddock? And one of the things we talked about was still backing the Twins, maybe not to come all the way back and win this game, but to get over their team total, which the last time I told you was at 3.5 plus money. And I will say this, we're not going to see this one out because we're done in about 2 minutes, but we are now still in the 5th inning and the Twins have put a run on the board. The game total is 10.5. It closed at 11, but we only need Minnesota to get to 4, and they can get to 4 and still lose to the hapless Rockies. So another way to play this is look at the losing team and look at their team total.
Yeah. How about Detroit, Texas, real quickly? 2.5. No score still. Top of the 7th. I thought we'd get some runs tonight. We're siding with the overs with these teams. I know Texas is a strong under team. I get that. But can we get 3 runs or take one team and have the team total be, I'm guessing both are 1.5s. So
I think they are both 1.5. Here's the thing, and just to kind of go full circle on it, right? I mean, what if this goes scoreless to extra innings? What if this goes scoreless to extra innings? Then all of a sudden we get a 2-1 final. right? And that's still over this game total of 2.5. I liked it at 3.5. I like it even better at 2.5. I am surprised we still don't have runs, but extra innings could actually be our saving grace in this one, Scotty.
Yeah, they're both 1.5s. You're right, and both are plus odds too. Detroit's plus 136, and Texas is plus 144. And listen, 2 weeks ago, I had similar games, not 0-0, but literally like 1-1. 2-0, and then 2-2, and sitting on under 8.5s and 9s for totals, and losing extra innings with this Texas team. It happened 3 times in 1 week with me 2 weeks ago. So look, it definitely could go over the 2.5. It could still go over the 8.5, knowing this goofy Texas team. So last one, we talked about it, but just to throw it out there for the listeners and viewers that didn't, Seattle and the Houston Astros. You like Seattle tonight?
I do like Seattle tonight. I like them at minus 134. They're now minus 142. And remember, again, I like Brandon Walter to get over his strikeout prop of 4.5. He's done it in 6 of his 7 starts.
All right. I like that as well. I'm hoping for Seattle because I want to see some pennant races. I want to see some division races. I want to see things, that make baseball meaningful. I hate following baseball so closely as we do, and then kind of late August, we just forget about it because college football and the NFL is here. So, I enjoy those sports, don't get me wrong, but I feel kind of bad, if you will, for baseball. So, Dane, good job. Brewers and Dodgers, real quickly. You going to take a flyer on the Brewers?
Yeah, I like going on the Milwaukee side. They've been red hot, but really it's about Glasnow going under his strikeouts. I don't think they are pushing him tonight.
I'm going to take the Brewers, plus the odds there. Kevin Camp coming up next.